Hey everyone, thanks for sticking around. I'm Flynn and we're back again, and here we are with Benjamin Lee. How are you, man?
Hey everyone, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. So this whole like bit of a special kind of behind stream that we're doing at the moment is kind of all just back from Max, and you were lucky enough to go.
Yeah,
Third year. Damn.
Vegas and then LA. So
wow,
it's a good kind of break every year that I look forward to. So
yeah, and it's always on the West Coast.
The last three
have been, I guess, the ones that you've gone to.
Yeah.
So hey everyone in the chat, thanks for sticking around. So before we get stuck into kind of some of the stuff that you've prepared, how would you describe yourself? Photographer, retoucher?
Started off as a photographer.
Yeah.
And then like clients ask like, can you do video? So
right.
now I'm a filmmaker as well. So I guess starting to do everything, but mostly digital. So yeah, based in Sydney. I do a lot of travel kind of photography.
Yeah.
Commercial videos now as well. So a bit of everything.
It's all happening. Cool. All right. So who did you go with Max this year? Because you're from Sydney and you went over with a whole group of people.
Yeah. So like I'm part of the APAC kind of group, right? So in Sydney there's quite a few of us. Very Little Peach. You got Demis. You got a lot of kind of photographers and illustrators, and Mark Conlon. He's going to be up next. So there's a big group of us, and we went over there and had a lot of fun actually.
Yeah, it looks fun.
Yeah.
So you have some video to show us, I think.
Yeah. So Max, there's usually like a big kind of keynote, and every day there's a big keynote that like kicks off the day. So it's kind of massive. So they have these massive kind of 3 screens up the front, and it's about 15,000 people, I think, they have there.
Wow.
So we made a little video for our podcast channel. Me and Demis run a podcast called 5 to 9.
It's a good podcast.
We did a little recap of like what we kind of learned. Sorry.
This is like the classic conference thing. Like you're going to this massive conference all day, doing all this exciting stuff, and then it's like, oh, now we've got to do that podcast.
Oh yeah.
So you're up early or staying up late? Or
everything? It's like the days are full on because we do the keynote, which runs for about a few hours, and the first day Adobe kind of talks about all the new things they're releasing. Yeah. Like you got the CEO on stage and all the different specialists and stuff, and after that there's like sessions and workshops, and in between that we ran off and did a whole bunch of podcasts on the side. So it's a lot of kind of creative energy. Like 15,000 other creatives in like a big hall. So
like amps you up to do a lot of stuff as well. Yeah, that's cool.
It's pretty inspiring. So like I look forward to it every year because it's like a refresher at the end of every year. Like of all the commercial work I do and like all the traveling I do. So lets me wind down and kind of chat with all the other creatives.
Yeah, nice. Awesome.
Yeah. So there you go. Yeah. Yeah, so first day we kind of met with all the kind of insiders. So Adobe flew in quite a few of us. There's like internationally there was probably like 100 and something of us.
Right.
And the first day we kind of on a bus we kind of met all the insiders, and we had a lot of activities, and that was like the kind of easy day in, so everyone could kind of meet each other. And you have James over there.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. Then as it kicked off, Demis ran a panel, and there's a lot of kind of activities for all the insiders. That's like us walking into the hall. Then they announced all the features. So you did the auto reframe in the last
we showed this. We did a little bit of a walkthrough.
So excited for this. Like it's gonna save me so much time.
Yeah.
But they ran through all of that kind of stuff, and this was on the second day. Sorry. So they usually bring in celebrities and kind of creators from their own industries, and that's Dave Grohl from Foo Fighters, and
awesome.
It's quite so I got to meet some of them, and
oh really?
Yeah.
Did you get to meet Dave Grohl?
Yeah, I shook his hand.
Oh wow.
Cool.
That's awesome.
I got a photo somewhere, but kind of met everyone. So
nice.
On the left is there you go. There's Toby and Joe, so they were part of the insiders, but you got M. Night Shyamalan. I don't know if you recognize everyone.
Wow.
There's Dave Grohl, Murakami, and
Billie
Chantel.
Eilish. Nice.
Just on the side there.
A crazy cross mix of people.
Yeah. So then they took us backstage, and we got to kind of meet them and have a little meet and greet, and it's kind of cool.
Pretty cool.
I didn't think I'd be meeting Dave Grohl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It's a good experience. So like we did a video recapping. So we asked a whole bunch of creatives like what you got out of Max and what their favorite part was, and I think there was a common answer, pretty much like 9 out of 10. Like basically it's like they were quite excited to meet other creatives, and people was their favorite part of Max, because how it's kind of hard to meet other creatives. Like most creatives are kind of introverts and they work in studios and that kind of stuff, right? So having 15,000 of us all together in like a social kind of context was pretty good.
Just united individually, introverts. Yeah, it's awesome.
But you get to meet other people and share ideas and that kind of stuff. So
yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's kind of perfect.
Yeah. And these are like insiders from all around the world as well, right? Like it's from here and from
we have
everywhere.
one from Germany. There's a lot of Aussies here, obviously. But some from America, Malaysia, US as well.
Super cool.
They're all over the world. I can't remember how many countries, probably like 50 plus countries.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah. So the whole spectrum pretty much.
Yeah, nice. Very good.
But yeah, if you get a chance to go Max, like I definitely want to go every single year because like it's like usually towards the end and it's a good refresher to kind of get
like
you
the
back
end of the
into,
year and yeah, it's cool.
Wrap the year up and kind of get you refreshed again.
Yeah, sweet. Well, maybe I'll see you there one year. We'll see if I get to go back again.
Next year, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, definitely. But yeah, so we're showing all this stuff on the iPad Pro because you're going to show us some stuff.
Device.
It's cool, huh? We were talking about it beforehand. Yeah, I do have one as well. It's such a toy. Always trying to find an excuse to use that instead of my laptop. But so we're going to show some stuff on Photoshop on the iPad.
Yeah, so they just launched Photoshop fully featured on the iPad. So I've had this iPad for about a week, so just like my pen skills aren't that great. So I think the illustrators
just a disclaimer for Mark in the back of the room, who's an illustrator who probably sleeps with a pen in his hand. Yeah,
but it's been really fun. So it's like I didn't expect it to be so fun. It's like kind of bringing me back to my childhood and like coloring in and drawing and using your hands to kind of create rather than like moving sliders across on Lightroom, for example. But I really liked it. So you want to jump into?
Yeah, let's do it.
I think like one of my favorite kind of stuff about this is probably the features, the gestures. Sorry. So like you can just bring the gestures up, but I can demonstrate. So like, give me a sec. Like I always make mistakes when I'm editing, right? So it's pretty intuitive just to tap like that and it goes away, right? And then you can make it go away with 2 fingers. You tap once, and with 3 you kind of tap it and it comes back. So
yeah, it's funny. I've gotten really used to that. I started doing it on my laptop screen a little bit.
The fingerprint
yeah, that's for me tapping because I've used my iPad too much. Yeah.
So that's pinching and zooming as well. I think that's pretty good feature. Like when I'm editing on Photoshop on the desktop, like I'm usually kind of zooming in and out a lot to kind of check the work. And having such a big screen in front of you, you can zoom in and really get the details, and you don't really miss anything. So you get to use your left hand to kind of manipulate that while your right hand can kind of paint and stuff. So that's pretty cool. But there's a lot of features, and I wanted to talk about dodging and burning.
Okay.
So
cool.
Don't know if you're familiar. Like it's a technique that they've used in kind of art and photography for a long time. So dodging and burning is basically making parts of the image or the whole image darker or brighter. Yeah. So I think the term is light illuminates and shadows define.
Right.
Does that make sense? So
that's cool.
Light illuminates, like it's pretty obvious. So adds light. Without light, you probably wouldn't have an image, right?
That's true.
But I think the interesting part is shadows define, right? So it helps add kind of texture, helps add depth to your photo, and it helps you kind of shape the light. So I've done a quick kind of demo here. Took this photo, Alabama Hills, like just before Adobe MAX. So
wow.
Trying to keep with the theme.
So this was before you guys went on a bit of a road tour or something.
I was so tired during MAX because we did like 6 days of like sunrise, sunsets, and 10-hour driving days.
Just with the photography crew?
Yeah. Actually, like 3 other Australian insiders. So shout out to Demis, TK, and James. But
nice.
Yeah, so basically, I'll show you how it looks without it. It's quite a subtle kind of example. I probably should have chose a more obvious one, but adding, so the top, so the mountain part, if you can see, I'm toggling it on and off. When you add, like darken the shadows, it makes it look a bit more 3D and it pops out, so adds a lot of depth to your image.
A lot of depth, yeah.
Yeah, so I darken that, and I'll show you how to do that in a second, but I also darken the bottom, which, if you can see, just to add a bit more kind of focus to the road and the cars, which is the subject. So it's quite easy to do. Let's give it a go.
Let's give it a go.
Yeah, so I'll show you what I'm gonna edit. I'm gonna darken these parts, just this isn't how you actually do it, but I'll just show you what I'm going to darken, right? Those parts. Then I also want to darken that part and this part. But because you see the rocks, they're kind of, the sunlight's kind of hitting it, so I don't actually want to get those parts, so we can brush that away afterwards.
Right.
Yeah, but those are the parts I want to do. So basically, you hold on to that adjustment layer, then you create a exposure kind of adjustment, and you darken a little.
Cool.
Darkens the whole image. You don't really want that, right? So then you add a layer mask.
Just like in Photoshop on the desktop.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So I hope everyone knows about layer mask, but if you don't, like, you should definitely kind of learn layer mask. Yeah, so darkens the whole image. I don't really want to start from that, so I'm going to invert the layer mask so it goes the other way. Right. So black hides and white kind of shows, right? So I'm going to turn the if you can see in the top right next to the exposure one, that's the layer mask. It's black now. So you choose a brush, change it to a white brush, and I'm going to get rid of the layer mask so it gets a bit darker. So as you can see, it's quite dark. You can always adjust it later, but that's fine. You can just, it's easier to see where you're working. And like I said, my kind of drawing skills are pretty bad, so don't judge me. Basically, that's what you would do. So if you wanted to kind of switch and paint back the highlights that I kind of went over, you can kind of switch the colors. I'm back on black and just kind of brushing away the highlights that I kind of covered.
Do you try to do it all in one hit, or do you try to do it slowly over layers?
You can, well, there's not much for here, so if it gets a bit more complicated, I'll break it down to layers, but basically I can just do the whole top layer. Yeah, so you can kind of adjust how dark you want it there, and then once you're done, there's a opacity, so you can kind of play with the strength of whatever you've done. I've done a terrible job now, but like you get the ideas.
Yeah,
right?
It's good, man.
Yeah, then to kind of darken the bottom, I'll create another layer. Sorry. Hold on to it. Adjustment layer, brightness and contrast. And so I'm going to darken it, but I'm also going to add a bit of contrast. And same thing, I'm going to invert it and then use a brush to kind of paint. And so I'll be making this darker a bit, make it a bit bigger. Yeah, so it's kind of fun. It's like you're coloring
in, right? Yeah.
It's very therapeutic. But I didn't expect it to be this kind of fun. Yeah. But yeah, you can change this thing. You can kind of move around. It's kind of cool, right? So yeah, I'm not kind of. You can change the opacity and make it a bit kind of lighter, so I can kind of paint the rocks back in. And yeah, that's so on Photoshop and desktop they have dodge and burn brushes, which basically does this, but it's like a little bit of a workaround, but works just as good.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, so this is one I prepared earlier, and if you notice, so that's like you can move stuff into folders, which is kind of cool. So when you swipe right, that's how you select the layer, and you can drag it all. But if you look closely, I kind of got rid of some stuff in the back. They're like RVs and kind of stuff.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Other humans.
Details. Like I wanted to just be that car. So, which brings me to the next technique of spot healing.
Cool.
I'm going to segue into the next thing. So spot healing, you can it's pretty quick. You can kind of get rid of things really easily. I'll do kind of, if you want to get rid of this rock, for example, you just color it in and it's gone.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's so fast as well. Like I'd say it's faster than my laptop in most cases, but that's the second example, which I'm going to fire up.
Cool. It's a great photo.
Thanks. So this is how it started off. There's like all these potholes and there's all these like little dots and that kind of stuff over the road. So this is my therapy. It's so enjoyable to kind of just like zone out and kind of use a pen, and yeah, with this I can kind of sit on the couch and have a go at it. So basically, if you use this spot healing, right, you can kind of get rid of things. All the dots I've kind of cleaned up. There's like these potholes that I've done earlier, so it's really easy. Let's just give it a go.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how you keep it within the lines for something that's so like geometric.
Oh, the spot healing is quite smart. So because the image is quite simple, there's like a lot of straight lines. You can kind of figure it out pretty easily. So let's give it a go. So pinching and zooming, the best thing ever.
It's just
like,
fun.
It's so easy, right? So you adjust your brush size, and then you can pretty much just look. It's so quick. Even things that you don't think. See, tap to kind of go back, but like you can color it in, and the lines are straight.
It's pretty good.
And like you can get small things with like a light touch, which this saves me so much time, because like after I did this actual photo, my hand started cramping up, even with like a ergonomic mouse, I guess. But like you're clicking thousands of times, and like with
is this originally when you did it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like this stuff, like you're holding a pen, there's no real kind of pressure on your hands, but you can get little tiny marks by light taps. But if you want something bigger, you just like it's pressure sensitive. Yeah. Which is kind of cool. So you can even get bigger stuff with the same kind of brush by zooming in and just like pressing down. That's how this works. Yeah, make a mistake, you can go back. But basically,
so you just slowly work at it until it figures it out.
So it's like therapy for me. So like you just slowly go through the whole image, and it's kind of nice. So there's also clone stamping, which I'm not very good at, but yeah, so you pick a point with this thing, and then it'll copy whatever that point is. So go like that, and then you can kind of clone stamp it out and extend it if you want. So that's how I kind of got rid of like all the edges and stuff. Say here, for example, I don't really like this part, I guess. Right. So you can clean it up by clone stamping. So you copy the next one over, and then make the brush a bit bigger. You kind of clean it out. It's like a bit more uniform.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, kind of therapy, but basically I kind of got to this stage, right? And it's kind of cool that you can use your hands to manipulate the image. So in the actual original photo, I hid a kind of Easter egg. Yeah, so, and then you can kind of adjust the size. Yeah, hid kind of like yeah, I got a lot of comments because people found it and they're like, that's not kind of meant to be there. But
right.
Yeah, you can move text around quite easily. It's nice. But yeah, so that's you should give that a go. Work in masks and spot. People always ask me how to get rid of things, and it's a lot faster in Photoshop. You can do it in Lightroom as well, but yeah, so.
And you can save that as a Photoshop file and send it to other Photoshop.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So I've got one more example. I'll show you the actual file, so give me a second. Took this one in Texas, in the middle of nowhere. It's like an art installation. It's not a real product store. But it's kind of cool, right? So I have my friend Jonah standing there, and I wanted to kind of make the lights glow. So if you can see, everything's kind of sharp, and I haven't kind of done the glow yet. So in Photoshop, you can add a Gaussian blur, which will give it a kind of blur. So I'm going to show you the edited version. So you can see like there's like light kind of bleeding over your shoulder, and everything's kind of like smooth, and yeah, it's a cool effect. So basically, this is one I prepared earlier. So with it off, it looks like that. With it on, kind of looks like that. It's a bit blurred, but yeah, you can kind of, it's like the Autumn effect. So landscape photographers use it, but I like to use it in kind of urban environments, like with lights and stuff, to give it a kind of ethereal effect, I guess. Yeah, so what you do, you can start off and add a, duplicate layer. Then there's an effect over here. Unlock it first maybe. Press this one here, Gaussian blur. Yeah, so you can go, I think that's a bit much. You can go down to about maybe 2.9.
So you want it to be like fairly subtle.
Yeah, you can always like adjust it a bit later, but I think 2.8 for this image is pretty good. So I should turn the other layer off, right? So everything's out of focus because it's blurred, right? So you don't really want that. So I'm going to add a layer mask, and like we did before, I'm going to invert it. So it's gone. And I'm just going to use a brush and kind of paint it back in. Because I just want the glow to be just around the shop, not like behind it or... Yeah. Painting... wait, sorry. Yeah, so I'm going to paint it in.
Yeah, Steve, with the iPad question, yeah, I've been... With the new Mac update, I've been using it as an extension, which has been pretty good. It's like dual monitoring with the iPad and my laptop.
Yeah, I really want it for that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Working out of hotels, like you have a second screen, I think it helps a lot.
Yeah, and just being able to like unplug it and then grab it and then off. It's pretty cool. Demis in the chat. What's up, Demis? Wants to know what the 529 podcast is about.
Plug yourself, Demis.
Nice plug.
Yeah. Me and Demis run a podcast about creatives, for creatives. Should check it out. So basically I've brought it back in and I've Gaussian blurred the whole thing, right? But it's all blurry, right? So I want to kind of refine it so it only shows on the edges of him.
Right.
So, yeah. So I can bring back his face and pretty much just the inside of his... This works well for like urban kind of images and anything with light. So basically, you want to kind of paint it back in, all the sharp details and stuff.
There's something really, like, as you were saying before about being therapeutic.
Yeah.
Because obviously you can do this in Photoshop on desktop with a mouse and everything. Or if you have
the same.
If it's not the same, it's quite fun. Just to kind of color in your friend and make them no longer blurry.
Yeah. So it kind of leaks through. It blends the light and the colors, so that's kind of nice, right? But yeah, you want to kind of brush in the actual details back in. And I guess on desktop you can use like high pass filters, which will automatically do it for you.
Yeah.
But it does feel less organic, so I kind of like doing this manually anyway. So with a pen, it kind of helps. So you bring in all the kind of details, and like I'll bring in back the purse and the lines, especially the hard lines. Yeah.
Yeah, any work that you can do like at a cafe or on a couch or mobile.
I prefer that.
Yeah.
I've just like kind of discovered it, so definitely trying to get more of this. I definitely think I'm going to get one.
Yeah. It's like, what did you do today? I colored in Prada bags.
This is my job now, apparently. Yeah, so you bring back the details like that. So I'm not going to go through the whole process, but basically that you do that. And then you can add a brightness kind of layer like this to kind of give it a bit more extra glow.
Right.
I've also gotten rid of distractions like this thing, so yeah.
Did you have to originally cut other people out of there, or you guys the only ones there at that time?
Well, this store's like in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
I think that's like the whole appeal of it. But you at 120 kilometers an hour, you drive each way, you probably won't see another town or house for like another 40, 50 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah, so I think it's been vandalized quite a few times because of that.
Right, yeah.
But it's a pretty cool installation. So Texas Marfa, if you're planning to visit, you should check it out. How much do the shoes cost in the Prada store? This store's actually never open. So 24/7 it's closed. It's just an installation.
Wow.
But apparently the stuff inside's real. Is what
really?
I've been told. Apparently.
Wow.
Don't quote me on that. But yeah. I quite like the whole tactility of this whole iPad experience.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure what I was expecting, but like now that I've tried it, yeah, I really want one.
Well, I guess especially as someone that travels quite a lot.
Yeah, like working out of hotel rooms, a second screen would be pretty good. And so all of these photos that I've demoed, they're all color graded in Lightroom already. So I didn't want to kind of bore you with me moving sliders around. So I wanted to show you these kind of techniques. But just to kind of rehash, how are we with time?
We've got like 10 minutes left or so. Yeah, so we got time.
Yeah, so with the whole dodging and burning, I think the trick is, right, to only do it where it makes sense.
Right.
Yeah, so I only darken the shadows and I only kind of like brighten the bright parts where the light hits, and like you can kind of push it, but generally you want to kind of stick with what's natural, pretty much.
Right. So you have to think about like where the sun's coming down. Saying like as you said before, like that the bottom of the valley is just getting drenched in sunlight. So if I went in there and tried to darken everything up, it's going to start looking a bit unnatural.
I think the easiest giveaway for like kind of photo manipulation is shadows.
Right.
I've seen people cut like a person out and put them in images, and they forget to add the shadows.
Right.
And subconsciously, you just know something's wrong with it. Like, maybe
it's like a paper cutout kind of thing.
You can kind of tell. But I shot this photo, so like I remember it's only a few weeks ago. So the light was coming in from this way, and it was rising that way. If that makes sense. You can just undo it all. Yeah. For this one, I think it's important, like it might be therapeutic and stuff, but it's important to kind of not overdo it. Sometimes I like just get heaps kind of involved in this and just keep going at it like an hour, and then I look at it and it's like, what have I done?
Right. Yeah.
So like zoom in and out, like once you do a little section, you should zoom out to see how it is, and like if it's not overdone. When I post these photos, like everyone's always like, hey, you should have just left it the other way. So like there's always two camps of like, should you clean it? Should you not?
How often does that happen when you because you have quite a big following online?
Yeah.
You get like a little bit of criticism, like some people saying, hey, maybe you should have done this.
There's always that one person like, I like because I show before and afters on my story.
Right.
And they're like, I like the before first. So like,
all right, cool, thanks.
Which is fine. Everyone's entitled to their opinions, but
totally.
Yeah, it's fine. Zoom in and out and check your work while you're doing it, and move on as you go. But
that's good advice. Like I feel like so the danger in here is like you clean absolutely everything up, and then just everything just looks like too black and white.
Or
too
you end
flat.
up like a white canvas. Like,
there's nothing left. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's questions. Cool. So there was another photo. Maybe we can bring up your feed. There was another photo that you have that was like a slow exposure with a car.
Oh, nice.
During your trip.
Did I save it here? This one. Yeah,
that one. Maybe you could chat to us a little bit about that, because I saw this, I think, on your feed, and it looks super awesome. And I'm assuming that was part of the same trip.
Yeah, so we did a pretty like long road trip from California all the way to New Mexico. So this was just out of Las Vegas, and it's in the Valley of Fire. So you drive in and like you see kind of a flat like landscape, and then when you drive in, all of a sudden these like red rocks appear. I know they're not red here because I edited it, but so we put our tripods on a rock that overlooks this thing, and we got James, Jam Tuner, to kind of zigzag all the way down. So in the actual story, he looks like he doesn't know what he's doing with driving, but it actually looks kind of cool. So it was a 30-second exposure, and we let him kind of drive all the way through, and that's the taillights that are going through. So it looks kind of bright now because I edited it quite bright, but it was actually quite dark that day.
Right.
It was a new moon, so that's why we couldn't let the exposure run for so long. Kind of cool, right?
Yeah, it's super cool.
Yeah, so for this version, I started the timer too early, so by the 30 seconds it kind of ran out. Like
there's like a gap.
Yeah. So in Photoshop, I kind of patched it up. What I did was I just copied this chunk and then moved it over. But do I have internet? Maybe I can show you.
Might not be on the internet right now.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah.
That's super cool. And what do you normally shoot with? Like, what's your kit that you would take on like such a big journey? Because assuming you all have your own.
Heavy. Yeah, we got one of those massive American cars. So like, we had 4 suitcases plus a camera bag, and we took up the whole entire back. Kind of.
Wow.
Yeah, it's quite. So I shoot with a Canon 5D4 at the moment.
Right.
Yeah, it's a DSLR and it does the job. But I also carry like video gear as well, so it's quite a big bag.
Like 2 sets of gear.
Yeah. Oh, like in the same backpack, but like trying to get on planes, they were like the limit's like 7 kilos.
Right.
Yeah, it's always kind of stressful trying to get on planes like because of that. My bag's usually at like 14, 15 kilos. With the laptop, it's a bit more. But
Steve was asking, would the Photoshop function to select color range work on something like that? Selecting the white and do a mass fix.
Yeah, it would. I haven't even had to play with that yet, so I wouldn't know. Give it a go.
Well, I know that the features on the Photoshop for the iPad are still rolling out. So there's new features coming out kind of all the time. So that might be one of them.
It's kind of perfect. Like there aren't too many features to kind of get you confused, right? So if you're coming over from Lightroom and you want to kind of put more work, into like touching up your photos. I think this is a great kind of jumping point for you to learn about layer masks, learn about kind of spot healing and working in layers especially. And using adjustment kind of layers. So if you look over here, there's like brightness and contrast, and there's all that kind of stuff. So definitely work in layers. Like I've seen people who just like draw on like the image itself, and if you work in layers, you can kind of save it if you make a mistake. It's non-destructive, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's the only way to work, I think, because so often you make a mistake or you have a client that wants you to make a change.
And you're like too many steps down that like history won't kind of...
Yeah, exactly.
I learned that the hard way.
But. Tell us about the 529 podcast, because you do that with a bunch of other creatives as well. Yeah. Demis, who's in the chat.
Yeah, so we have a guest on every week. And we do a podcast. It's an audio podcast, but it's also on YouTube. Yeah. It's so much work to edit the video, but it's fun. Like we've had a lot of Sydney people on so far, but because we went to the US, we got like some international guests. So that'll be coming up soon. And you can check us out. We talk about like the freelance life, and like we talk to a lot of photographers and illustrators, and it's a good chat. They goes for about an hour an episode. Yeah. So I'd recommend watching it because we put in a lot of content about the stuff we're talking about. So you can just leave it on and follow along.
And what sort of stuff do you guys talk about? Like, is it mostly about the craft? Like, is it like, here's how you do this? Is it about like social media or work-life balance? Or
we don't talk too much about detail about how you take a photo or whatever. Right. So it's less technical in that sense, but we bring guests on, and depending on who the guest is, like they might be good at time lapses, for example.
Right.
Or we had Jam Tuner. You should check out his work. He does a lot of cinemagraphs, and so we like went through his whole process and how that kind of went through. But we got an illustrator on and talked about her process, and it might be very different to what I do as a photographer, but we're both freelance, and the whole kind of creative struggle of like, managing everything yourself. Yeah. We had a chat about that. That was pretty good. Yeah. Sean, it's a good episode.
Cool.
Check it out.
Very good. So what's next for you? Like what's happening? Like you did Max, are you traveling again? Because you travel so much.
Yeah, I've spent so long so before Max I was in New York. Yeah. And then after Max I went to Texas. So that was a whole 2 months of like US.
Wow, just US. Yeah. Wow.
It's a lot. So I'm trying to wrap up the projects there and take a break. Because I think one of the lessons I learned from Max is you need to kind of make time for yourself.
Right.
If you take too many jobs, and it's really hard to say no to jobs as a freelancer.
Totally.
So I call it the freelance fear. It's like you have to say yes to everything.
Right.
Because you never know when it's going to kind of dry up. But
totally.
I want to take some time off. Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Do some personal stuff, and I'm pretty much free from like maybe a few weeks from now, hopefully.
And so when you're traveling, do you edit while you're on the go, or do you tend to kind of collect everything and then come back and then kind of go through everything and edit then?
Or like I post on social media, so you kind of have to keep it like current, I guess.
Gotta keep that feed fresh.
Yeah, feeding the beast. So.
Feeding the beast.
Yeah, so we kind of edit like bits and pieces as we're as we're traveling. Yeah. Try to post it, and like on a road trip with 4 other photographers, everyone's trying to get their photo out first because like.
Oh wow! So it's like a mini competition.
Yeah, there's a friend called Demis. He doesn't sleep, so.
Demis doesn't sleep.
Yeah, he's been on this. He's been on an Adobe stream before.
Yeah, a couple. Yeah.
So he's quite competitive, and he doesn't sleep, so
he
usually gets it up first. But
I'm going to get his side of it next time he comes on the show.
Yeah, I'll let him have it. You know?
Very good. And where can people find your work, like more of your stuff?
At Itchman. So I'm on Instagram, and from Instagram you'll be able to find wherever, like all my other content and kind of platforms, and find me on Instagram.
Where you feed the beast.
Yeah. TikTok's a new thing.
TikTok's. Do you have a TikTok account?
Yeah, I don't dance though. So.
No dancing? Oh man, I'd pay to see that.
No, you wouldn't.
I got some research to do. Thanks everyone for hanging around. We'll be back very soon with Mark Conlon. We're going to be doing some illustration in fresco. So see you soon.
Thanks for having me.